My name is WhiteDove, and I want to thank you for joining me today for another storytelling. And this story connects me to both my Wabanaki heritage and my French heritage here in the Northeast of the United States and Canada. The title of the story is That Is It a Dream or Reality? I awoke from sleep this morning and leaving behind the most heavenly place. It proved so real and so comfortable to me as if I had lived there all my life. In fact, upon wakening up from sleep, I felt as if I had passed through a door between two houses. The house that I left behind and the one where I awoke. It was incredible. In the dream, I found myself walking on a path by the seashore towards a grand house of 2 stories high. In approaching this house, I heard the peaceful sounds of seagulls and surf, and I smelled salt air. It was also warm because it was summer. As soon as I stood in front of the house, I noticed its unique characteristics. The style of the house was similar to a New England farmhouse with a wide front porch. In fact, 6 or 7 rocking chairs sat on this porch with a few small tables. Flower boxes decorated the porch railing with red and pink geraniums that were very lively. The wooden boards of the house exterior were painted the color of pumpkin. The porch and the trim around the large windows and ornate doors were the color of butter. The window shutters and the doors were the color of raven. The roof boasted of dozens of black, glistening slate shingles like a queen who wears her crown. A stone chimney climbed up the right side of the house like a grapevine. Furthermore, the chimney smoked like a great peace pipe. When I followed the gravel walkway in front of the porch's red staircase, I smelled the scent of many yellow and orange roses that bordered the walkway. Suddenly, as soon as I climbed the porch staircase, a sea breeze embraced me and convinced me to sit on the porch. At the same time, this well-preserved house seemed to welcome me with hospitality. In that case, I sat in the first rocking chair by the door. From there, my eyes beheld the most theatrical scene. In the distance, I gazed at the mountains behind the sea. Above the mountains, there was a brilliant double rainbow with all the colors: red, orange, yellow, green, turquoise, indigo, and purple. It was as if I was viewing a light show. Moreover, in front of the mountains, I could see the sun sparkling upon the ocean waves. A few tall trees at the edge of the sea framed my magical view. Cedar trees, fir trees, a red maple tree, and a couple of birch trees. All of a sudden, I heard the most piercing cry from a bird. Immediately, I raised my head to the blue sky, and there I caught sight of the sunlight reflecting upon the white head and the white tail of a magnificent eagle. The eagle soared above the house. All at once, the wind changed. I felt a cold sea breeze invite me into the house. I was cold, therefore I went to the door and rang the doorbell. I rang it several times, but no one came. Finally, I gently opened the door and found myself in the parlor. As soon as I entered into the parlor, I became warm because there was a fire in a stone fireplace. The warm air seemed to draw me to sit by the fire. In this way, I was attracted to a big armchair near the fireplace. As soon as I sat there, I noticed many portraits that hung on the walls around the parlor. Moreover, the people in these pictures appeared so familiar to me. I somehow felt connected to them. All of a sudden, I recognized the portrait of my grandpa Albert, whom I knew when I was young. My grandfather had immigrated to Maine from the village of Passepébiac in the Gaspésie of Quebec, Canada. Then, in several portraits, I observed women and men wearing the skins of animals and the feathers of birds. They appeared to be so much a part of the natural world. While I meditated upon these portraits, I began to feel at home here. Was this place the house of my ancestors? In an instant, the sea breeze passed through the open window, gripped me again, and seduced me into exploring towards the back of the house. Afterwards, I discovered a corridor to a back door, and I left the house. On the right, I noticed an enormous barn, the same color as the house. On the left, I perceived a trail that led to a meadow. In front of the meadow, there was a kitchen garden and a sunflower garden. I followed the footpath to the meadow. Suddenly, I caught a glimpse of numerous rabbits that were hopping in the high grass. And then a moose appeared in the prairie. I immediately pursued the moose to the border of the meadow. Beyond the meadow, I faced an ancient cemetery. One more time, the sea breeze blew at me and persuaded me to enter into the cemetery. In leaving the moose behind, I approached the tombstones with curiosity. There, I was surprised to behold the last names of my family. That is to say, the names of my ancestors. Albert, Delarosby, Joseph, Dennis, Le Brasseur, de Roseby, Larocque, etc. Both French and Native American names were written on these tombstones. I had a strong feeling that this cemetery represented my roots in Quebec, Canada. In the cemetery, I also knelt down and prayed about my fear of death, when suddenly the sea breeze returned and tenderly embraced me with great comfort. At this moment, I felt a profound respect and a great gratitude to all my ancestors who had walked this earth before me. Above all, in this cemetery, I lost all my fears regarding death. Consequently, I felt an immense peace. That is to say that where there is no fear, there is peace. Finally, I left the cemetery behind to return to the grand house, where I laid down on the big armchair by the fireplace. While I was falling asleep, I felt the sea breeze hug me affectionately with love, and I heard the songs of a great northern diver, a common loon, in the ocean. As soon as I awoke, I found myself again in my bed, where I remembered the most heavenly place. Now that, is it a dream or reality?